I've seen like sexual abuse all the way to like misused funds. This institution has become corrupted. And I just thought, I'm done. Mon nom c'est Joanna, j'habite à Montréal, Ville-Saint-Laurent. My parents were born in Sri Lanka, both of them, and then they left in the late 80s because there were riots in Sri Lanka, so they came as refugees with like nothing. The church I grew up in, I would definitely refer to as a cult. My grandfather used to be a pastor, the pastor of the church that I grew up in. I say it was culty because people worshiped the ground that he walked on, and it was more what he said, and they wouldn't go to the Bible necessarily. They would just be like however he interpreted it. And if you question it, it's because you're not loyal or you are attacking this like man of God type of deal. The reason why we left my church when I was 13 was because my grandfather was accused of sexual abuse, and then he was charged. And then we left, and then we went to another church, and then my dad, on the board of this old church, figured out that the pastor was basically taking advantage of the finances. And it was just like mob fights in church. So there was like the pastor camp, where like, he's the best, how dare you question him, blah, blah, blah. And then there was the board camp. But seeing all the fights, my dad very humbly told my mom, I'm gonna step down. And he told his board, and then he went up to the stage and he's like, you know what? I don't want to be the cause of a church tearing apart. So I'm just gonna step down. And then one by one, every single person on the board stepped down. So now I'm 17 at this point, just starting to go to a new church. They hired me to work at the church with the kids ministry, which I did. And I enjoyed it for a while, and then I started to get another peek at these, church politics, let's say. The big thing was the debt. This church was in debt. And it was like $100K, but I said, it could be $100K or $100 million. That's not my problem. My problem is, how did you get there? And if you're just saying throw money at it and then it'll be fine, I was like, you're wrong, because you're gonna throw money and then the same thing's gonna happen. And the story we kept hearing was if you have a problem with it, then you can leave. Out of, let's say, 10 people, they fired everybody and cut it down to 3. I left church altogether. I didn't go to church for 2 or 3 years. And then someone from the last church I went to called me and a few people from our church and said, you know what, we all collectively went through a really hard time, and we are all having a hard time finding church because we need each other. So we met at his place, a bunch of us, and we started to talk, and we all spoke our minds. We were all truth. We were all our truest selves. So we were there for about a year. And it was great. I had a really good time, and I was like, this is perfect. This is what church should be. And church is you and me talking, or me and another Christian at a bar. That's what I consider church. Dom was the lead pastor at the 180 right now. He came to the group because he knew Dave, who was opening up his house to us. And Dave was like, I think I'm ready to go back to church. I think now's the time. A friend of mine in the group, Sean, who is also part of the 180, who drums for us, he said, we all went through a really hard time at church. And he said, and shame on our churches for putting us through it, because they did in a lot of ways. But he said, at some point, it's going to be shame on us for not moving past and moving forward. The 180 worship band, I would consider the first actual team that I've been a part of. It's the same guys all the time. And I know them outside of church, I know them in church. And it's aptly named 180 because I did not always feel this way about worship. Being part of the worship band is great because we are here for God and we are here for the people. Sometimes you just can't articulate what you're feeling, and there's something about a specific note or a song. It's just being present with God. Sometimes you don't even know what you need to be rescued from until you're in it, and then you feel rescued. And I can feel it when I sing. I mean, I haven't decided yet what the institution of church is, but I would say that it must be a place of refuge. Je suis ici parce que j'avais des personnes qui ont été là pour moi, qui ont prié pour moi, qui m'ont pas laissé traîner, qui m'ont dit on va marcher en vie ensemble. And what I hope for the 180 is that we are that church. We're the church that's known for helping people